Hi friends, welcome to the first video of our channel. Today we will read a newspaper excerpt that I found in the Ottoman Archives. The excerpt will be about how Istanbul will be defined. The newspaper article spans 2 pages and there is a document in Ottoman Turkish, one of which emphasizes the significance of this news. Apologizing in advance for my English pronunciation. Let's begin with my video. Enjoy. The first page, second, and the Ottoman Turkish. Let's begin. Date September 27 and 1891. How to Defend Constantinople by a correspondent. Attention has recently been drawn to the possibility of a Russian attack upon Constantinople. It was well done, for although the shame referred to is in principle as old as the century. What a few years ago amounted to little more than an idea has no accurate practical shape. Steam warships have in fact given an entirely new aspect to the favorite design in Caesar Nicholas and have brought it within the region of feasible operations. Today, Russia possesses in the Black Sea a fine fighting fleet and numerous swift transport, and the intelligence department and St. Petersburg can furnish, besides tolerably accurate maps of Asia Minor and the whole country between the Prut and San Stefano, detailed information concerning the defenses of Turkey and her military and naval resources. In a world, the emperor's generals have both the knowledge and means required for attempting a rush at the Ottoman capital with a fair prospect of success. Whether after seizing the city they could maintain themselves there would rest with the British people to decide. My immediate object is not to discuss that knotty problem, but to show how the necessity of having to solve it can be averted. Constantinople is protected by a series of earthworks, which run in a southerly direction from Darkos, Turkish pronunciation Terkos, on the Black Sea to Büyükçekmece, Turkish pronunciation Büyükçekmece, on the Marmara. These fortifications, which were mainly constructed by Baker Pasha, Turkish pronunciation Bekir Pasha, just after the last war, are known as the lines of Çatalca, Turkish pronunciation Çatalca, from a village near their center. Properly mentioned, they are impregnable, but although requiring 100,000 troops to stand alongside, they could be defended by the actual garrison while reinforcements were coming up, and unless Russia proved strong enough completely to block out the city, 50 fresh battalions would soon be behind them. It is therefore clear that an enemy landing on the European coast of the Black Sea above Darkos, which is only 20 miles from the mouth of the Bosporus, must abandon all hope of at once carrying the place by assault and open his trenches in regular form. Turning to the Asiatic side, we find that the want of roads through the difficult country between the coast and the Bosporus would offer serious obstacles to the invaders' artillery and baggage. There is an excellent road from Riva on the Black Sea to Beykoz, Turkish pronunciation Beykoz, a village of the upper Bosporus, but that could be easily closed, and I am not aware of any other finished road. An important feature in the situation is the character of the Black Sea coast. It would be utterly impossible to land an army except during a calm, which can never be reckoned on the continue, even in the late spring and early autumn when southerly winds prevail. For now here the northern gales spring up more rapidly than in the Black Sea. I have myself often seen the wind shift suddenly clean round to the north, and in half an hour the sea, which had been like a millpound, was the rock to launch about. Picture the effect of such a change of weather in the midst of the disembarkation. Did the breeze grow strong, the ships must put to sea, and in any case, communications would be cut. But a succession of judiciously placed earthworks and rifle pits from the mouth of the Bosporus to Darkos on the European side and say 25 miles along the Adriatic ought to render landing in the neighborhood of Constantinople impracticable. For, notwithstanding the superiority of the Russian Black Sea fleet over the Turkish, the latter maneuvering within reach of shelter and helped as it would be by the land batteries and torpedoes, could at least create a sufficient diversion to permit the infantry and field artillery fighting on vantage ground to drive back a vastly superior army rowed to shore, as steam launches cannot get close in and obliged to wait to dry land, by strengthening the defenses of the Bosporus. No difficult task. First page finished, and second page. With modern weapons, the Russian fleet would, moreover, be confined to the Black Sea, even if the coast batteries were silenced and the disembarkation accomplished. The invader must then take force on both sides of the straits before his squadron could enter the Bosporus, and without ships he could not deliver from the Asiatic side and attack on Constantinople itself. At any rate, he could not make such rapid progress, for the defeated Turks would be able constantly to barrass the advance and retard it at a dozen points, so that the English squadron would have time to come to rescue. A remark which applies with tenfold force to the alternative of landing beyond the Black Sea batteries. And should our ironclads arrive before the city were taken, the invader must return to the Black Sea, where he would find his own ships scattered in flight and nothing left but surrender, for he could obtain neither supplies nor reinforcements, and his necessarily small army would speedily be hemmed in by overwhelming odds. There would, however, remain the danger of surprise, that its fall within the range of practical considerations. I admit that the port might be caught napping in if Russia could collect her transports, ship the soldiers, horses, guns, and so forth in a single night, but not us. We are apt to talk rather as if these operations would be the labor of a few hours, and unperceived by the host of foreign consuls, residents, and officers of merchant vessels at Odessa, Sevastopol, and other ports. Yet, it does not follow that because the Turk can place his capital beyond the reach of the Caesar's sudden swoop that he intends to do so. It is an open question whether it was wise to sanction the quasi-garnison of the Turkish army. Experience tends to prove that the Taurosian officers, unlike the English and the Russian, lack the qualities essential to organizing Eastern troops. They are too stiff and tenacious of their school system and seldom manage to hit off the happy combination of strictness and indulgence. You may pistol a Muslim for breach of discipline, but not want his national of religious susceptibilities if you would escape aggrieving his comrades. Tact as well as military knowledge is needed in dealing with him, and it is just in this respect that the German appears to be deficient. But whatever their virtues and faults, the Prussian officers of Abdul Hamid's service have certainly either neglected to urge His Majesty properly to fortify the Bosporus and adjacent bits of coast, or failed to convince him of its expenditures. While that work remains undone, Constantinople will be exposed to the danger of a sudden rush. Putting aside diplomatic considerations, I cannot share the faith displayed in forbidding the passage of the Dardanelles to foreign warships. England could without alarm Russia in the enjoyment of a road to the Mediterranean, which would seem to be her natural right. I will go further and say that our interests would be best served by the destruction of the force which guard the straits, for in that case we could send our fleet to Sarajevo Point without fear of obstruction. We had a lesson on the subject when Admiral Hornby was instructed to bring his squadron into the Marmara. It was a toss-up whether or not the Sultan would order the ships to be fired at, as Sir Geoffrey knew. Still greater would be the advantage if every nation had lived the dispatch ironclads even in time of peace to the Golden Horn. But St. Petersburg is evidently not disposed to sanction a measure so agnostic to its aims as a radical revision of the treaties regulating the sovereignty of the Dardanelles. It is consequently a matter of vital necessity that our Mediterranean fleet be always prepared to shell the Russians out of Constantinople, as if promptly on the skein it could without much trouble. Lord Beaconsfield should have chosen midline in 1878, but Cyprus might be useful if the island possessed a good harbor. A quarter of a million spent on Famagusta would give us one in which the whole squadron might lie at anchor, and surely the expenditure of that sum would not overburden next year's estimates. Naval and military stations cost money, yet it cannot be thrown away. Yeah, I'm finished the newspaper, and the Turkish documents, guys. It's Yes. I'm gonna say Turkish. Mabeyni Hümayunu Cenab-ı Mülükâne, Baş Kitabeti Celilesi Canibi Alisine, Devletlü Efendim Hazretleri, Pazar günleri neşr olunan Observer, Observer, nam haftalık gazetede bu kere bir muhbir tarafından olduğu beyanı ve İstanbul nasıl hıfz ve müdafaa olunmalıdır ünvanıyla bir mektup görülmüş ve havi olduğu izahat ve mütalaat şayanı nazar bulunmuş olmalı. Aynen ve leffen takdim takdimine mücaseret kılındı. Herhalde emri ferman Hazreti Melül emrindir. Fi 18 Eylül sene 1307. Ben de Rüstem. Yeah. It's finished. See you soon, guys.